you up so people don't. I'm not saying Yakub knew that we had to go through this period. Well, what I'm saying is Yakub played his part in the period that we had to go through in his manifestation. And what that means is, for the last 6,000 years, the part of the, because what we first must understand is that the sun is not complacent. It doesn't stand still and the 9 planets orbit around it. The sun travels the universe and pulls the 9 planets. So it's a difference between rotation and a vortex. A rotation is something sitting on an axis with an object rotating around it. A vortex is a mass body pulling other mass bodies. So our solar system is not in rotation, it's in a vortex. Now, with that being understood, understanding that we are traveling around the universe, you can understand that what we call prominences. When the body, like for example, animals give off pheromones. Whether they want to tell other animal, have sex with me, defense mechanism, it is a scientific fact that we know that the animal, as well as the human, gives off gases that affect the psychological and biological states of other organisms. When this is done on a humanoid or an animal level, it's called a pheromone. But when it's done on an astrological level, it's called a prominence. So a prominence is when a planet gives off gases or energies that trickle down into the atmosphere and affect the psychological and biological activities of the species on that planet. So now, with that being said, 6,000 years ago, we traveled out of the prominence that was vibrating strong enough for our kundalini to raise and push open the pineal gland. Now, before I go on, I got to give you this science. Now, you see the pharaohs, as we can call them, with the uraeus on their head. This is the cobra. The reason they put the uraeus on their head is because when the kundalini energy, which you see on the Caucasus, the Red Cross Blue Shield, if I'm saying it wrong, whatever they name it, they stole it, and they got the 2 serpents going up the shield with the wings. Now, the staff is your spine. And the 2 serpents is your kundalini energy, your netcher and your netchert, your yin yang, your positive, negative, male, female, whatever you want to call it. Those are your duality energies, which actually shoot up your spine in that form. And what happens is they come up the 33rd vertebrae and they push into the pineal gland. The pineal gland actually opens like a door, and it swells like the hood of a cobra while being stimulated. So while your pineal gland is swelling, the pituitary gland, which is right under it, is flickering like this. So our ancestors put the cobra on there to let you know when the serpent energy is flowing up the spine, up the chakra successfully, it is stimulating the pineal gland, pushing the pineal gland north, swelling it like the hood of a cobra, and the pituitary gland is flickering like the tongue of a cobra. So they use the cobra to be synonymous with this effect. Now, what this effect has is there's a liquid within the 3rd ventricle of the brain. Once the pineal gland is pushed open by the kundalini energy, the liquid within the 3rd ventricle of the brain flows into the 4th ventricle of the brain, stimulates the mind, and activates what we would call psychic kinetic ability. This is where you get clairvoyance, telekinesis, all those things that have to do with that. So now, getting back to my original point, 6,000 years ago, we moved out of a part of the universe that stimulated us that way. So what happens is, for the last 6,000 years, the melanated race, melanated beings, us, have not been able to raise our kundalini energy up because the universe has not been stimulating us to where the bodies are powerful enough to do so. So now what happens is, in the coming of the Aquarian age, which will be 2034, 19 years from now, we about to get hit with that wave. So now kundalini energy is rising. You got people astral projecting, don't know what the hell is going on. You got psychic kids. You got the government abducting psychic kids and putting them in the CIA and making them find criminals. You got all these kinetic abilities. Motherfuckers is thinking they're going crazy. But what's happening is you getting your powers back. It's like X-Men. You just waking up. And matter of fact, actually the movie X-Men is synonymous with the melanated being coming back into their power, because if you look at the majority of X-Men, they're who? Teenagers. They're teenagers. They're youth. And they don't know what's happening to them. They just know one day I woke up and I lifted some shit up. Now, this sounds crazy to someone who is not past a certain chakra frequency. So what we have to understand is, in taking it back to Kemet, the Greeks, who were students of our ancestors, quoted in their own history and documents that, if you read the Stolen Legacy book, I can't get the exact page, but it's quoted in there by George James, that a Greek philosopher stated, the Kemetic priests seem to have what is known as supernatural powers. They were able to manipulate the elements at will. So now this comes back into this time, as you can see, Kemet, civilizations like Sumeria were 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 years old, going back into when we started moving out of that celestial continuum that gave us that power, that vibration. So our ancestors still retained some of that ability. So now when you look at the black or the melanated being today and you say, well, why you can't do what your ancestors did? Because they had a little more juice than me back then. But now I'm getting that juice back, and you about to see the ancestor. This is why they say we are our ancestors. We just waiting for the universe. Well, we were waiting for the universe to present us the moment to show you. So the moment is here, and get ready. And the reason a lot of people can't fathom this or tap into their frequency is because you allow the Caucasian to vibrate your body at a low frequency by eating low frequency foods such as meat. Most of y'all is on medication. You're doing drugs, popping Molly. And I'm young. I used to be in the street, so I know what it is. So with that being said, if you want to raise your vibration, you must electrify yourself. And I do mean electrify. Anything, peace, brother. Anything that's of high intensity or velocity is electrified. The more voltage you add to something, the more powerful it becomes. So when you keep eating low frequency foods, you lower in your voltage. But when you eat an alkaline diet, you make yourself more electrical. You're an electrical current. So now this allows for what stimulation? The most Kundalini stimulation. Your Kundalini can't get no juice if you eating pork chops. It don't get no juice. But if you eating alkaline diets, now that gives your body more power to flow the energy up your spine.